Good morning, guys. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the live stream. We are streaming on Facebook and on LinkedIn. If you are joining me for the first time on this it's sunny, but it's cold. I'm on the East Coast Wednesday morning. Welcome. I know I have quite a new followers on LinkedIn, especially. So we are live streaming every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern for Thoughts of a Maven. And I'm Dion Watts Williams, the brand messaging Maven. And what we talk about here every Wednesday at 10 Eastern are all things personal branding, positioning, LinkedIn thought leadership, and mindset. Okay, so if you are watching us for the first time, I want to hear from you. Chime in down below using the hashtag newbie. And if you have a question, if you have a comment, if I'm stepping on your toes, if you need clarity, I want you guys to engage with me. Okay, I'm just adjusting my setup here because there's a lot of sunlight coming through this window for some reason. But I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everyone's staying warm and safe. And I cannot believe it is February already. Wow. But we are talking about this morning audience alignment, right? If your message, maybe you are an entrepreneur and you're doing all the things on social media, or you're a corporate climber looking to get new connections so that you can get some good job leads on LinkedIn. If your message feels scattered, it's usually because your audience is too. Okay. And I know that that is probably one of the most frustrating places to be as a corporate climber or an entrepreneur. So, we're going to talk about how to know when you're misaligned with your audience, even when people are paying attention, right? Like we tend to think that engagement and followers automatically automatically equal engagement or alignment, excuse me, but that's not necessarily the case, right? So we're going to dig into this today, okay? And if you're catching this on the replay, use hashtag replay with your question or your comment. So if this is a frustrating thing for you, you are in the right place, and I want you to ask questions, right? So maybe you are visible, right? Maybe you're credible. Maybe people engage with your content, attend your meetings, express interest in your work, but there is a gap when it comes to engagement and actually you landing the opportunity, right? For some reason, momentum stalls. Okay. Just know that opportunities don't convert the way that they should. And if that is something that's happening with you and your brand, right, that's a red flag. Maybe conversations are fading out and you're starting to question whether your issue is your offer, your confidence, is it the market? And more often than not, the issue is audience alignment. I don't care what the news is saying about the number of layoffs and what the market is doing, or how the marketplace looks. Audience alignment is not about having followers or being liked, right? Leaning into alignment when it comes to your audience is about speaking to the right people who are at the right level of readiness. Okay. And so we're going to talk about how this misalignment shows up, even if you're a brilliant, ambitious, accomplished woman of color. Okay. Guys, good morning. Thanks for joining the live stream. We are streaming on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and we're talking about how to know if you are misaligned in your audience. Okay. We're going to talk about this because I see all the content, right? Especially recently, I've been like dipping my toe into the pool that is threads. Okay. And you guys on threads, if you're connecting with me on LinkedIn because you saw some of my threads content, you guys are really bashing a lot of these platforms and especially LinkedIn. And I'm going to lean into LinkedIn a little bit because that's my jam. But what I found is that when you are frustrated with a platform, and whenever I hear someone say, "The platform is trash, I'm uninstalling the app. Oh, it's so phony, the AI bots," like, all that doesn't matter if you have not become really, really clear about who your audience is, right? I always ask people, 1, what does the algorithm, right? And we can have another conversation about the algorithm, but what does how someone else shows up on LinkedIn have to do with you and your assignment? And also, if you are attracting certain types of, I don't know, people, connections in your inbox, if you're seeing certain types of content and it's really getting on your nerves, that is a red flag to really be reflective and see and assess what you're putting out there, okay? So sometimes, sis, it ain't the platform, right? Sometimes it's you, okay? So we're going to talk about this, but this is how misalignment shows up, okay? The first thing is that you might get engagement, but no conversion, right? People can comment, they can nod along, they can tell you your message is so good that it resonated, but when it's time to hire you, promote you, or move forward, they hesitate. That is a sign, right, that there's a gap in your messaging. Your message might be resonating intellectually, but not strategically. And so, if you are in corporate America, this often looks like being seen as valuable, but not being considered for the stretch role or that leadership seat. If you are an entrepreneur, it looks like attracting, I'm going to call them tire kickers, right? Or people who are just curious instead of decisive buyers. So, when you have engagement without conversion, that is a sign that you are speaking around your audience instead of to their real priorities. And when you tap into their real priorities, you're now clear on how you can fill that gap for them. Okay. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. Let me get some ones in the chat if you guys are with me. Okay. Guys, good morning. Welcome to the live stream. We are talking about audience alignment and how to know that you are misaligned with your audience, even if people are paying attention. Because I'm not one. Now there's a place for quantity, but I am not one to chase quantity first because I'd rather have 500 followers on LinkedIn who are my people and who are ready to buy versus, 6,000 who really aren't feeling me, right? Who are just there being curious and they're just window shopping. Okay, so let's really dig into this, right? The second thing, right? The second way to know that you are misaligned with your audience is that conversations stall really, really early on, right? Initial interest might come easily, but for some reason, again, that momentum dies out. And so this might look like people asking surface level questions and then they disappear, right? And maybe you're someone who offers, as an entrepreneur, discovery calls, right? They feel nice, right? It's nice to sit and kiki. And I've had conversations on threads with consultants and coaches who are like, man, these discovery calls are just like I'm sitting having tea, but it's very non-committal, right? Internal conversations don't move past a let's circle back. When this happens, that means that the resonance is shallow, right? Your audience might understand what you do, but they don't see how it fits into their current problem, right? You have to really tap into the person, the audience that is ready to make a decision, right? Who's not going to hesitate. Alignment, guys, really requires meeting people where they actually are, not where you think they should be. Okay. Number three, maybe you feel pulled in multiple directions, right? One day you're speaking to emerging professionals, right? Maybe you're a career coach, right? You're speaking to emerging professionals, and then the next day, seasoned leaders. The next day, you're talking to founders and then everybody in between. Your tone, right? Your examples and your emphasis are shifting depending on who's listening. And so that constant recalibration is exhausting. And it's a sign that maybe your audience is not as clearly defined as it should be. And when that happens, your message becomes reactive instead of grounded. Okay, and I'd like to think you guys can let me know if you've been following me for a while. My content resonates with a single type of person, not just in terms of age, gender, income, industry, but really the deeper gaps and problems and pain points and dreams and aspirations, right? And so if you are adjusting yourself to the room instead of leading it, it is time for you to be really, really clear. And when you're clear, you're going to be consistent, right? Because without clarity and consistency, everything is going to feel negotiable. Is this making sense for you guys? Okay, let's move on to number 4. Maybe you are trying to be accessible to everyone. You're trying to be everything to everybody. And this is especially common for women who have built success by being adaptable and supportive, right? I get it. We want to be helpful, relatable, approachable, but accessibility without specificity is going to make you invisible. I'm going to say it again. Accessibility without specificity leads to invisibility. That's a whole, I'm about to put that up somewhere on threads, on LinkedIn, Facebook, somewhere, right? Because when your message is designed to fit everyone, you are casting such a broad net that it's not resonating. It does not land deeply with anyone. And you're just being, you're kind of going along with the flow instead of being memorable. So when you are specific, when you're not trying to be everything to everybody, you're going to be memorable, right? The right audience, your brand soulmate is the person, the community, the company, the industry, right? Very specific. The right audience doesn't need you to be everything. They just need you to be clear. Okay. Stop trying to be everything to everybody. You will not leave any money or opportunities on the table. I promise you. Okay. Number 5, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, right? You attract curiosity instead of alignment. In other words, tire kickers, those are the people who are paying you attention, but they don't want to move on with you, right? They might say things like, wow, this is interesting, versus, man, I need that. You want the people who are like, I need what you are offering. And so curiosity, yeah, it keeps the conversations light, right? You get some engagement, but alignment is what moves people forward to a point where they want to hire you, work with you. Okay. And then aligned audiences can see themselves in your message, right? Those tire kickers, they're just observing, right? They're not taking you seriously. So, guys, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the live stream. We are here every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. for Thoughts of a Maven. And today we're talking about how to know if your audience is not the right audience for you, right? Even if you're getting some engagement, how do you know that you're misaligned? Number 6 is that your audience reflects who you used to be. This one is subtle, but it's really, really powerful, guys. Okay. As your career and your business evolves, your audience should evolve too, right? And when that doesn't, it often means that your messaging is still anchored in an earlier version of you, right? You have grown, right? In responsibility, perspective, capacity, and your language hasn't quite caught up, right? You have to assess the season that you're in right now, and are you showing up as the old version of you? Because that disconnect is going to create frustration on your side and on the side of your audience, right? And here is the truth about audience alignment, okay? It is not a failure, it is a temperature check, it is a way to get feedback, okay? So, guys, if you're just joining us, you have to go back up to the top because we just covered 6 ways to know that you're misaligned with your audience, even if people are engaging with your messaging, with your content, with your brand, with everything that you're putting out there in the world. Listen, audience misalignment, it is, yes, a temperature check, but it means that maybe your experience has expanded, right? And maybe your messaging has not been recalibrated, right, to reflect who you are and who you serve now. And so I work with my clients a lot around audience alignment because it requires clarity, clear boundaries around who your work is for. I am unapologetic about who my brand soulmate is and who I'm here to serve. I'm not offended when someone unsubscribes from my email list, unfollows me, right? It is okay because I want people in my sphere of influence who get me and feel like I get them, right? And so you need language that speaks to the lived realities instead of these kind of generic terms and phrases. right? And audience alignment requires the willingness to stop appealing to everybody. Okay. And this is really what some would call this foundational work. And we do this work inside of Maven Day. Okay. Maven Day is my 4-hour virtual brand lab where I help ambitious women of color, right? Because that's my brand soulmate. Doesn't mean I won't work with anybody else, but if you are an ambitious woman of color and you feel misaligned, you are in the right place. I help you in 4 hours in this virtual brand lab refined, right, who you're really speaking to so that your message attracts alignment instead of noise, right? And if this information, right, put words to something that you've been feeling but couldn't quite name, you are not behind. Okay, let me tell you what we do at Maven Day. We're going to have a deeper conversation inside the brand lab. Okay. So you can go to workwithdion.com/Maven Day, but it is happening in February. Okay. And this is where we're not just going to talk about audience alignment, but I'm going to help you map out for 2026 where you are going with your personal brand, who you serve, how your secret sauce can really open the right doors. Okay. So this is a live 4-hour virtual session. It is interactive. It is high touch small group. It is me. You're not meeting with anybody from my team. And I'm going to give you real time hot seat coaching and feedback on your brand strategy, right? Your professional goals for 2026, because I know we like the vision boards, honey, but February is here. And what you don't want is to show up next January with the same goals, right? Feedback on your brand strategy, audience alignment, elevator pitch, and being able to develop together the content pillars that are going to help you be more visible to the right people. So you're also going to walk away with all of that plus a 90-day brand action roadmap so that you'll have a clear path forward for your brand. Stronger positioning on platforms like LinkedIn and all the confidence that you need to show up as the thought leader that you're meant to be. And you also get a um, replay access so that you can revisit the session at your own pace. Okay. But please understand all that brilliance means nothing if you're just sitting on it. If you are ready to move the needle, in your career and in your business. You've got to get clear in your audience. And if you know that is you, I invite you to join me at Maven Day. Okay. So if you're ready to put some strategy behind that brilliance, go to workwithdion.com. But I hope you guys found this helpful. And again, shout out to all my new connections and followers on LinkedIn. I will see you next Wednesday for Thoughts of a Maven. Okay. Remember, until you step into your next level, there is going to be a community of people who can't tap into theirs. Okay. I'll see you next week.